Did it work? Are we here? Can you? Oh, it did work. We can see. Ooh.
Just got a haircut, but the floof, man. Look, my hair is almost as weird as her hair. It's like the opposite. She has all the hair like vroomf, but nothing at the sides. I have all on the
It,
top, and nothing at the
it
sides.
it's 80s hair day. Like mine's got a little bit of a feathered look going on at the
Yeah.
side there too. Hey guys, how's it going?
I think it's going. I think it's going.
Oh, it's going. Welcome back, guys.
Been a little while since the TNG.
It's been a hot minute.
As weird as that sounds.
And we got 23 weeks of Star Trek coming up. So solid weeks of Star Trek.
You know that time we did it all the time, we had to have a break? We don't get a break till Christmas. Literally until Christmas.
I don't know.
Like the week of Christmas is our break. So this is the week before. The next time we'll be able to do something we want to do is Christmas time. Week of. What are you into, CBS?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh well.
yeah. I hope you guys are ready because we are gonna commit many hours to this.
Well, hopefully there's not much to talk about with.
I didn't know. Hold your tongue. Don't go that far. There's not what else to talk about. It's just gonna suck while being brilliant. Hope you guys are excited. This is the best time to support on Patreon channel membership because both are gonna help us to do all the billions of videos. And considering I think we did like how many episodes was it? Picard 10, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think I counted and we made like 97 videos for 10 episodes of Picard. No,
That means we're insane.
I was thinking 7. No, it's like 20 more than yeah, so it would have been 120. Yeah, I was thinking we did about 20 other bonus ones. So yeah, 120 for the 10 episodes.
That being said, let's read some super chats. Ozzy Madero's $5. All hail the Superior Commander and Super Captain Foley.
Yes.
Skeleton hands.
Yes.
And my mental pathways are accustomed to Trekyards. Puts in $2.
Yeah.
You mean I watched Stargate 1 Season 2 for nothing? Boo. No, that'll be coming up soon.
Probably
Not
tomorrow.
sure when. Maybe tomorrow.
Today's Wednesday, so that's Thursday, yeah. I like how you read it Stargate 1. You like just the way you read it was like it's SG1. You're like Stargate 1.
Speaking of, you were Stargate SG-11.
Yes. Oh, just me SG-11 then.
Well, I heard what happened to SG-11.
Yeah.
So were you like, did you get killed and put out to roast like on a stick?
SG-11 is a semi-running joke of
So were you like
of coming back because they get reformed. You know, I mean they're allowed to be reformed and then get killed and then yeah, it happens a couple of times. So I'm in like the 5th iteration of said thing. I'm just
cool. He's gonna listen to see how we sound, and apparently we sound good because people are saying it sounds good. So, anyway, yeah. Welcome back, guys. We got to talk about legacy today. I'm not sure this is gonna be a long conversation, just because there's not a lot in this episode, really. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it works out.
And yeah, your background noise is really bad again today. So if you can lower the gain, because it sounds like a plane's taking off. Well, you can today because it's like even on the phone, it's like sounds like a plane, like I say. It's true. And then say something. Well, I lowered you because the thing was so bad. You sound better now. I mean, a lot less noise.
Okay.
Because the thing was so bad.
If you say so.
You sound better now.
All right.
A lot less noise.
Hopefully they can hear me now. Everybody's still saying they can't hear me. You say so. What do they know?
You sound better now.
All Now I'm back. Yay, there we go. Woohoo!
Well, hey. That's the
All
problem
right.
with OBS. It doesn't like audio for some reason.
Legacy. Go. All right. Well, do you want to share? While I...
Can do.
All right.
OBS. Can do.
They can hear me now, so I can tell them that super chats are great. So joining the channel at the rank of Commander, Captain, or Admiral. Also Patreon/Trekyards. If you want to help us out during these times of constant Trek until Christmas, please do so. If you can, head over to Patreon/Trekyards or just join the channel. Those are great ways to help us. And also super chatting during these lives where we're having discussions with you guys. Make sure that your comment gets read or your question gets answered, and we really appreciate it. And I'm sure, if you can help us out, please do, because we're gonna need the help. But yeah, anyways, Teespring store, all the cool stuff down in the links down below. Check it all out and let us know if you've checked out the Teespring store or whatever. I mean, there's some cool stuff in there. So if you haven't, though, take a look. Go click the link and help us out any way you can. You can also head over to Trekyards.com, use the donate button. That's a PayPal option, or the PayPal information is in the description of every video. So you can send us a PayPal and let us know in the chat that you sent to PayPal, and then we'll read your comment or question via the email for the PayPal. So that's another way to do it as well if you don't want to send a super chat. Just be aware that super chat kind of goes towards our daily living stuff, and the PayPal stuff goes in a separate account, and that's for trips and new equipment if you want to get a camera or anything like that. So yeah, it kind of gets allocated differently. So but yeah, so we're going to wait till Samuel's done sharing here, and then we'll get right into Legacy, which I can't see being a very long discussion. So that being said, let's see how long it goes. Sometimes when we think it's not going to be a long discussion, it's a very long discussion, and I hope that's not the case for this one. Because this one was, how do I say, underwhelming. Might be a great way to do it. But yeah.
Alright, so Stuart, what did you think of Season 4, Episode 5 of TNG Legacy, the Tasha Yar semi-sequel / data sequel / let's have fun underground?
Very underwhelming. Very dated.
Okay.
Not much of a story, really. I mean, I didn't remember much about this episode going into it. I just remembered that, Tasha's sister shows up and she kind of screws everybody over. And there's a little thing with, her and Data. But yeah, even watching it, that's kind of all I got out of it this time again as well. Yeah, there's some stuff going down on the planet, and they're trying to get the upper hand on the other faction. But there's just not a lot there really. It's not much substance this episode, so I don't know if it's going to be a long review or not. But I don't know. That's kind of my vibe on it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's better than I remember. But I think that's because of the HDness. Like, every time they go onto the sets, the alien sets, you're like, they actually look really good. Like, you start to see it's the same, like, set after, like, the third time they use it. But for the most part, they invested into a good-looking set that really holds up in HD. And it gives you a good, like, unique vibe. I think they cast a great actress, and then, like, she plays it well. Kind of makes you appreciate, well, they didn't give Tasha Yar Denise Crosby herself, because this woman got how much more lines in her one episode than Tasha got in her entire franchise? You know what I mean? I've always felt sad about it for this. It's like they gave her everything that they could have given Tasha. I think this is partly we're sorry, Tasha. We're sorry, Denise. And obviously, if you think last season we had Enterprise, this season she's in Redemption as a voiceover, so they already were trying to bring her back. So they were on her mind. This episode confused me though with how much Data is overacting. Like, Brent is playing a full range of emotions here, and there's not even a reason for them specifically. Like, at the start, he gives, there's a scene in the poker, and he actually has, like, I call your thing. And he's putting, like, a voice on, and it should cut to him saying, Riker saying, Data, you doing a voice? Yes, I learned all about the, poker players of the 21st century. But no, he's just being normal, even though he's totally emoting way more than Data should. So I think the director of this episode didn't direct Data properly. It was one of those ones where just let him just emote well beyond the range of Data. I mean, it's fun to watch, but it feels like weird, and he's always talking softly to her, like extra weird. And it's like, where is this? Where does it just does not feel natural to the character. So that was a bit weird as well. And I thought I was going to dislike it more knowing that she revenges them, but having now in this watch, as you know, last watch it was probably in the early 2000s, understanding the first scene is there just to set up the fact that Data sees people bluffing. It's pretty obvious, but again, if you're 12, why would you see that? You know, to watch how they play the relationship is actually quite interesting, and it's, you know, the entire thing is just a story of it's a Data episode inside the shell of a Tasha episode. So it's interesting, and it's a character study episode more than an action episode. And if you didn't know the twist, I think you would be surprised, because they do go all in. Like, there's no points where this other character who's not Tasha, what's it called? Ashara. There's no point where Ashara like breaks cover. She's always playing the part, so you wouldn't think she was bad, because she's bluffing. You know, in a bluff, you don't let it slip. So she's playing the role that she's not, you know. So I think you couldn't necessarily see it coming, but when you see it coming, it changes the whole vibe. So yeah, it's an interesting one, you know. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to research now, though, who directed it, because like I said, I don't think this person directed Trek before. It doesn't kind of feel that way.
Well, Not a Band Account throws in $2. If Kurtzman did this episode, he'd have shown the rape gangs. Oh, probably. In today's world, yes. Matt Deckard says this could have been a vehicle to bring in Tasha's twin, but no.
I thought that as well.
Yeah, that would have been actually kind of cool. Yeah.
Okay, so this writer, now again, writer to director, this is their first Trek appearance, but they also helped write Starmok, which is pretty big, although Masks, and I don't like Time's Arrow either part, so for me those would be his less good. 36 Voyager, including Year of Hell, written with other people, and both Equinox with other people.
Well, I like Masks and I like Time's Arrow, so
yeah, Mask is fun, but I don't think Time's Arrow is very good. And the director, he did 11 TNG. Oh, I said doesn't know Trek very well. He did Measure of a Man. Really? You're having Brent do this, and you did Tin Man, The Defector, The Price, Peak Performance. The hell are you doing in this episode direction-wise? That's weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Episode
anyway.
1. Not. Scene 1, Stuart. The poker, 3 minutes. There's like, wow, this is a long scene of poker.
Yeah. Riker compliments Data's poker face, and you know, it's a fun little scene. I like his little card trick, but I watched, and the way that he cut that deck, he didn't have his finger on the card,
nope.
And he wouldn't.
Yep.
I made sure to check that out, and I don't know how it happened. It's amazing. It's magic.
It happened because it's in the script. No, I thought that was as well. It's like, no, he's not touching it as much as you say, Data. Because the trick is really good. Like, it's very... But even Data, he feels like he's bragging. There's so much emotion. He's like, well, Riker, ha 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 ha. And it's like, no. These are not Dataisms in the way you're doing them. Doesn't fit. Doesn't feel quite right. But it's good. It's a good scene. I'm sure the actors were like, this could be us playing anybody. Like, this is a totally non-Trek scene, and yet we get to play in this comfortable environment. So I'm sure there's a lot of fun in this scene. It's definitely fun to watch. Although you wonder, like, everyone knows Riker bluffs in most cans. Everyone knows Worf is, you know, a bit aggressive. Everyone knows Data bluffs and does quite good stuff. You know, and Deanna can test your emotions. Data can count cards, and Geordi can see through the cards. How are they still playing successful games of fun poker? Like,
right.
There isn't a way they can keep doing this. Every time you see it, it's like, they can't be that big games, because otherwise they'd just be, you know.
Yeah. Matt Deckard, $2 to sponsor the rank of Colonel in Trekyards. So you want a Colonel rank in Trekyards. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we can do with that. Maybe add some more membership levels. Jarzia puts in $2 Canadian. Hey, I actually made it today. Howdy, y'all. Hey, Jarzia, how's it going?
Hey, welcome,
Um,
welcome.
yeah, I love how at the end, even though like our data's like, considering everything that you just did, kind of takes all the
Yep.
all the chips, which is good. Um,
It's
but
a, it's a fun scene to watch, and I was quite, hey, the magic, which is pretty cool.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
But they
Good.
get a distress call,
Yes.
and so they're Federation from the Federation Freighter Arcos. It's having an emergency. It's in having an emergency in orbit of Turkana 5. I don't know.
Four.
Was it 4?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Although you wonder why were they even close to this system? Like, it's very hard to accidentally go places. Like, they obviously weren't delivering supplies to this planet, and I doubt they spent 48 hours at warp on the wrong trajectory. It's like maybe they're going to Hadrona 3, but they don't. It's
What, the
hard to.
Enterprise?
Well, no, the freighter. Like,
Oh.
they weren't delivering supplies to the planet. They're not allowed to. So why were they right in orbit, about to get blown up?
Mm.
You don't just appear there. It's like saying, "Oh my God, how did you appear on the Menagerie planet?" Well, we got lost. How?
Yeah.
I didn't think that until just there, but it's just like, oh, we're here because reasons. Sure,
Yeah.
why not?
So anyway, this freighter's transmitter is failing, so it's audio only, and we get this Tansu Arcos engineer contacts them and says estimate is 5 minutes to warp drive containment breach.
And
Make that 3 minutes.
yeah.
And then thanks for everything, Enterprise. And Picard's like, Ensign increased to warp factor 3. How much time? 7 minutes 15 seconds. Will that put us within transporter range? No, sir. And so he ups it to 9.6, warp 9.6. I love that they're actually doing that.
Although they specifically call out that we've already pushed our warp 9 too far, and yet they don't mention any repercussions for going. Because if you're already pushing it too far and then go 0.6 faster than too far, there should at least be some shaking. Like, it felt very underwhelming. Of like, we've got to push it. Any repercussions? Oh no, so we're fine. Oh, why didn't we go that speed the first time? You didn't ask us to? Oh, next time I will. It's good, but I just think of NX01. It's like 5.1, 5.3. Would have been good, but that's
okay. So they arrive, they drop out of warp, and they tell O'Brien to transport the guys aboard. But there's an explosion, and he's got nothing to lock onto. Yep. But there is an ion trail, so they did launch their escape pods.
Although you think they would mention that in their call.
Yeah.
That's more important to mention, because maybe they wouldn't have to slam on the accelerator and destroy the damage the warp coils if you're already going to escape pod it. Or say, Enterprise, we're going to go on escape pods, tractor us when we launch. It's quite a bait and switch. It's like, wait, what?
I love how Riker's like, let's hope they stay clear of the colony. Nope, that's exactly where they're headed.
It's got some fun, not very Star Trek dialogue, which is then fun to watch. It's like Araja Zakuda. It's like, whatever his name is, like his dialogue is so weird, it's fun to be in the universe of Trek. So there's some nice like lines like that. They're just like, really? Okay, we're saying that, are we? Cool.
So they try contacting the colony. There's no response, and we haven't been able to maintain a stable communications with them since their government fell apart. And we find out that the last Federation ship that made contact, which is the Potemkin 6 years ago, was warned that if anyone transported down to the colony, they'd be killed. It's like, wow, awesome.
Yeah, it's a 0 to 100 sort of situation of like, yep.
Oh yeah, yep.
This is a bad place, and they do a good job, I think, of setting up. This is like a really shitty place to be. And the way they highlight it's an Earth colony, that doesn't is normally just like an Earth colony implies they went out 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Most of the colonies are like, it's just other people.
Yeah. Yeah, but they do say it's an Earth colony that's severed relations with the Federation. So.
But only 15 years ago.
Yeah, 15 years ago.
So it was doing well, and then it all fell apart pretty quickly.
Picard's concerned about sending an away team, obviously, but they need to find out about the two. Well, they say two missing Federation crewmen. There you go. So no alternative but to go down.
I mean, it's a pretty. I mean, once he makes a decision, he's pretty like, we're going. You know, I think the actionist of the first scene, first couple of scenes, is quite effective. It establishes, I think, a really good like pace, right in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the colony is 3 kilometers below the surface, or below the surface of the city. That's where these this base is, or whatever. And it's weird because they go into the transporter room and Worf's kind of like, yeah, we expect a violent response, so perhaps the doctor should stay here. She's like, I appreciate your concern, but I can take care of myself, Mr. Worf. Well, the colony is completely lawless. Lieutenant Yar spoke of rape gangs. And she's like, I can handle myself, Mr. Worf. It's like, wow.
I mean...
And yeah, Riker's like, she's coming. They could be injured. We need a doctor. So.
Yeah, one of those nice things if they've been like, I told you so, Doctor. But at least in this episode, like you said, hasn't got much story, so there's a lot of character interaction stuff. So there's a lot of procedural stuff, which we both quite like. So these moments are what you expect to see, so it's nice to see. Although, as they often do, rather for a planet they expect immediate deadly repercussions. Hell of a like a, you know, A-list away team. You know, never the nurse and 3 security people. No, it's just.
I love how they get on the pads and everybody like gets ready, and Riker's got that stance. He's got his arm out, and it's like, oh yeah.
Why was this not done in Best of Both Worlds on a known Borg bad thing or any other time? Just like I think we made the joke at that point. They didn't have their phasers drawn. They could do phasers drawn.
Fleet Pass Swiftback, $2, 57 likes with
Thanks.
89 watching. Hashtag Yara like Spike. That is awesome, guys. If you haven't hit like yet, though, please consider hitting it, and we'd appreciate that.
It's important. A good map painting though.
Mm-hmm. Damaged City looks good.
Yeah, and I like these sets. They are moody, they're effective, they're well lit, they look good. They rather use handheld camera, which they don't often don't as much do. It's very effective. You know, for what this is, they committed it. It looks good. Holds up well, I think.
But they find out that the escape pod's been moved through these tunnels, so it's not where it was originally landed. And then they run into the people, and people are like, excuse me, pardon me. It's like not quite the greeting we expected. But yeah, I mean, then they run into a party of the actual law, I guess. Identify yourselves. Well, we're from the Federation. We're here we're tracking 2 crewmen that crashed. Do you know anything about it? Possibly. And then it's like, oh, their proximity things go off. And Worf makes a point of saying their proximity detectors. Seen them used on Manu 3. So they take off with them, and it finds out that they actually all they did was did a raid, essentially, and stole some Telardian synthale from the people. And Riker's like, well, I think I should maybe take this to the authorities. And the guy's like, hey, we are the authorities.
Yeah, I think it's some pretty well-written little scenes here. It's not what you think is going to happen. It's a good setup for this guy. That I think that the brandy, whatever it is a fun little... Like, it's not what you expect to pull out some big, like, grenades, and it's just like, oh, nice booze. The last case of the fancy booze. It's like, yep. That's what these guys are doing. There's these rape gang-filled city of destruction, and they're stealing booze from each other in a very nicely packed container with 6 in. You know,
they can't do much else with the proximity detectors, but Riker says, or not Riker, these people say, we're short supply of phasers down here. Can you help us out? You won't miss a few of them. And the guy's like, all right, fine. You just want your men back alive. We'll see. Maybe we can help you out. But here, take this to your captain. Gives him a bottle of the stuff. And here we also get the exposition about the proximity things. It prevents them from doing any serious damage to each side, which is basically a stalemate. So.
Well, yeah, it's keeping the peace, and that you can't do all-out war.
Yeah.
Although obviously we know that's not actually true by the end, but I think all things considered, it's a good setup. And like I said, I do think this is a slightly an apology episode for Denise Crosby. It's like if this had been in season 1, it would have been a pretty hard-hitting season one, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it feels a bit late, but
Yeah.
like
The beta does say that a member of their crew was from here, and so yeah.
Yeah, I like their clothing. For what it's worth, I think their clothing's pretty interesting for what that's worth. Oh, and there's two sides. There's the coalition and there's the alliance. Both very
Yes.
strong sounding, and one has one half the city, and there's the other half. And that's as far as that's it. That's the rationale. It's like, okay, cool.
But after they beam up, the guy's like, I want to know everything there is to know about the Starship Enterprise.
That confused me, as even Troy calls them out later and said, well, they looked at the Starfleet databases, and I'm like, what? This is a colony by itself. They wouldn't have access to Federation databases, and if they did from their old government, they'd be over 15 years old, which means they wouldn't have anything to do with the Enterprise. So why would they possibly... Like, that seemed odd to me. They couldn't possibly have information about the Enterprise D, yet they do.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I just need to do something on the chat here.
Because I guess you could argue, just like in comedy TV shows, they're connecting their wires to the Federation News Network, the neighbours network. But it's like, well, how are they? What? I mean, not that it means anything. All they work out is Tasha, and they could have worked that out just by their own, their own whatevers. But it's like, how would they possibly know?
There we go. So yeah, I love how Picard's like, yeah, the Alliance and coalitions all sound so reasonable, but it's basically the behavior of urban street thugs. Certainly won't trade weapons or anything like that for these people. So
classic, no option situation.
But they get a transmission from the planet, and the guy basically says, "This is Ishara, Tasha Yar." And she says, "Tasha was my sister."
And we're like, dum dum dum. Who would have thought it? A relation.
Yeah. But yeah, basically they have a little talk here about helping out. We'll help you get your crewmen back, but you want nothing from us in return. If you might be forced into paying our enemy ransom for weapons, so no, we're going to help you out, just to avoid that possibility.
I mean, I thought,
like, okay,
that's pretty logical. I mean, I think all things considered, that is a good reason to help. And you could also argue that her time in the Enterprise might give some information about how their tech works. I mean, there's lots of reasons where it didn't initiate a direct trade. And again, they play it pretty straight, I think, the episode. I think you have to be quite suspicious to think she's going to turn on them. I mean, you assume she's going to stay on the colony, but not be as especially as harsh as she is. I think that really is like a, oh, damn. But again, bluff, poker face. You're not meant to see through a poker face. It's not meant to be hints, it's meant to be that good.
Yeah. Well, Picard mutes the channel and says, could this be...
Is
this real?
He says opinions, and he asks the entire bridge, which is a nice moment of just like, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Very captain-y.
They said, we mentioned that a member of the crew was from the colonies, so it could be a deception. She might not be related, but... And Troy says, he is deceiving us. He's clearly hoping to manipulate us. Yeah. But as to the identity of the woman, I can't tell.
Yeah.
So... no, it was a good conversation between them all, and must have looked really funny on mute on the other end of it. They're all standing around. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure mute in this era probably also means mute the signal, so like we don't actually see them. It's just like a static.
Wait, he does the kill.
Yeah.
But all Worf says is muted.
Yeah, I like when Worf says unmuted. Is very diligent in his job. Yeah, it's a good setup, and considering we are pretty straight to the plot, I think we often say that TNG and Trek in early eras isn't much about continuity, but this episode is 100% a continuity episode. This is literally the Tasha Yar sequel. I mean, think about that. This is not something you couldn't have watched.
Yeah.
You had to have watched season 1 to even care about this episode, like in the way you're meant to. Like you could say, "Oh, we lost somebody," okay, but they don't ever say Data and her slept together. Like, without that context, it's just Data. He's a puppy that likes a friend. That's how it plays. But when you realise he was her one and only, or she was, whatever. They don't say it, so it does a good job, I think, at continuity.
But she beams up and meets Data and asks whether he was built for fighting. He's like, "How did you come to that conclusion?" "Well, you're on board a Federation starship." "Yeah, but our mission is exploration." She's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." Yeah, I can fill you in on any details. Here's a grid system of the tunnel, or I think of the tunnel system. So it's just kind of a nice meeting and whatever.
Yeah, but again, the first look of Data's face is like, well, that's an emotion. I mean, there's just way overacting Brent. I get that's sort of the emotional episode, but yeah, there's also a lot of one long takes in this episode, which I appreciate. There's a really long one coming up, which is good. But yeah, but Data is definitely like a puppy in this episode, longingly saying, "You're as close to the girl I slept with as possible." Wink. She's like, "I just met you."
Get lucky with you too.
Yes.
But he does make the point of saying, Tasha never said anything about you, so what's up with that?
Well, she was a coward, so who cares what she thinks? I never had anyone call her a coward before. Well,
yeah, bitch.
was the impetus. No love lost, although you never really get a full sense of how or why. Like, she escaped. What does that mean? You know what I mean? How did Tasha escape?
How hard is it to escape?
Yeah, because if no one can go there, then how do you board a ship to leave? I mean, these are questions for season 1, but they didn't answer those questions in season 1, so...
No.
Yeah.
But there's a slight moment here where the expression on her face reminds Data of Tasha, but whatever. And she's like, "It's been 15 years. I don't even remember what she looks like."
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, she must. She comes into this. She knows she's gonna double cross them, but she doesn't know who and how. So she doesn't know Data's special. So she's being flippant with him, and then she realizes, oh yeah, because this scene is pretty laying on thick. Like, oh yes, we're all friends, and it's like, oh yeah, you're my mark. Had you right away, Data is the impetus. But again, that makes sense in the context, and he's a puppy who thinks he's too smart in this episode.
Squad course $2. When view screen is muted, what hold music plays?
Yeah. The
8-bit one. The 8-bit version of that.
But anyway, she walks in the conference room, and it's a really great edit of, "Hello, here she is. Everyone's looking at you. Hello there."
Yeah.
Wow, this is awkward.
She's like, you don't think I'm Tasha's sister, do you? And they're like, "Oh, the thoughts occurred to us. Well, you can sample some of my DNA if you like." And Beverly's like, "Yeah, I will."
I right here, syringe. We're doing it right now.
And the look on her face when she says it is like, "Oh, I will."
And she's like, "Oh yeah, okay." There is some genuinely nice little character moments, because like we said, there's not too much story, so they allow the characters to breathe. It's definitely fun in that terms. Like, we're not being forced to watch, in Defect, a Romulan spout dialogue that's never going to come back. This is characterful stuff with people we sort of vaguely care about anyway.
Yeah. So she goes and does the exposition of everything that's happened on the colony.
And it feels a bit like we've already heard this stuff. It's a little bit like, but we just a little bit.
Well, we get more of the cities now in ruins, so we moved underground, and So when the government couldn't stop the violence, they gave us police powers and installed proximity detectors, which seems kind of sketchy, but okay.
Yeah, bit weird.
And then the government finally fell a few months after that, so...
Although they also say later on that she joined this allegiance thingy of her own volition, and they implanted it into her, so you could choose not to be part of a thing and not be implanted. So where's the non-people? Like, they don't really give a sense of the society outside of the conflict, because they're implying it's everybody, but they explicitly say it's not everybody, even though you would just then bring somebody in from the outside that hasn't got a chip, and that's the loophole.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, you know what I mean? It wasn't made particularly clear about how, why, or who.
Yeah. But they get an incoming transmission from the planet, and it's of the two prisoners, the Federation guys, saying that they have 20 hours to make reparations, or the pilot and myself will be killed. And Beverly's like, can we at least send some medical? And that's when the signal goes and cuts out. Yeah. So, and she's like, take that threat seriously. They're going to torture and kill them.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Well, yeah. So we find out there's 2 main bases and 13 ancillary bases of operation, and they're all underground and heavily guarded. But she knows the layouts, and then she even says here, if I get my wait, Captain, if I could get to, who says that? Oh, Data says it. If he can get, oh no, sorry, the Forge says it. If he can get to the sensor thing on the escape pod, he can track their movements or their life signs easier.
They're people, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense. It's a human colony of humans, so they're just humans in a human environment.
Yeah. So this is a thing that is apparently on escape pods, which we didn't have in our episode, by the way, where if the people get separated from the pod, it tracks their life signs. You can't get an idea where they are.
At least a freighter escape pod, not a starship escape pod.
Which seems backwards to me. Should be the other way around. But
that's a bit OP. And you would think, what are they tracking? It's not just tracking your life, like it's not tracking your DNA. It must be tracking your unique comm badges or, like, whatever's tracked, the ship should be tracked too. And since you have the schematics of the freighter and the escape pod, I don't know what it's tracking. You know what I mean?
I just assume that it would scan specific life signs that come into the pod, and then if people do wander away, it'd be easier to lock on to
make a print of it, like, we know who you are, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it'd be easy to find the matching life signs within a certain vicinity of the escape pod. A lot easier. I don't know. That would be my assumption, but
I mean, that should be on everything then, but that's really useful.
Well, yeah.
Wow, the Picard life sign. That's good for a board cube, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant. It's the exact right one. Wow, to the T.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so yeah, we got the pyramid-shaped underground tunnels, and they're talking about their plan to get in there. Oh, we'll need a diversion. Transport a couple of photon grenades into the adjoining chamber. Photon grenades, pretty cool.
What an introduction to they never mention again.
I know.
And the way
at minimum intensity, they wouldn't even kill anybody. It's like,
I mean, doesn't that imply they're killing devices 9 times out of 10? Like we've got to turn them down from normal to not kill people. It's like, Geordie, stop pumping the power up to 11 at a standard. Geordie, stop it. We don't want to bomb people. Because I mean, why again? Best of both worlds. Don't invent shit like that. That's a really powerful sounding thing, and they're deadly.
Well, yeah, her plan is to have them transport her under a certain corridor, while they go to another corridor to get get to the escape pod so they can attach this booster thing. And so when she beams in, her proximity thing will set off the alarms. And Riker's like, no, it's too dangerous. I've seen those tunnels. You get cut off too easily. And she's like, well, I'm here to help you. It doesn't matter if it's too dangerous. That's my job. If we had time to come up with another plan, we would, but we don't. So,
I mean, it plays quite well considering. Like it makes sense. It's just time. You know, we have not got time. And in fairness, she never lies to them as a team about anything. That's the thing. Everything she's doing is exactly genuine. It's just she tacks on the fact that actually she doesn't tell them that, oh wow, how lucky they put prisoners 25 meters from their power generator. Like, that's it. That's all she does. Like, she doesn't do anything. Like, I was expecting at the end for them to say, they're in this room. Where are the people? Tricked you. But no, she's honest. She just has a secondary objective. So that's what I mean. It's played very straight until the reveal, because it is. It's exactly, she's trying to help. She's trying to gain their trust. Yeah.
Yeah. So Beverly takes some DNA and says this should take a few hours to run the comparison, whatever. And the whole time I'm thinking, yeah, but in like shows like NCIS and stuff, they can get the DNA results in 2 minutes. God damn it, this is the future, and they still can't do that.
Do you want to know the
I
double
just thought
joke
that was
about
funny.
that?
Sure.
That in a later scene, she mends her cracked ribs in minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It takes longer to run a DNA test than to uncrack ribs. Huh. What's amazing, it doesn't even play a part in the story, the hours. Like, doesn't play a specific part, you know? It would have been fine if it was like, oh, she's not her sister, dum dum dum! But it's like, 4 hours, okay.
Well,
That's just inefficient.
Yeah, there should have been like weird kind of radiation that altered DNA patterns, so she's not sure if she's her sister or
It's a
not because the
50%
DNA
match, and they assume,
doesn't
sure.
quite match.
Yeah, that'd be good.
James McGill, $5.
Thank you.
Is there other Federation worlds that has evolved into civil war and chaos? Does the Prime directives apply? I don't. I think it's kind of weird that the Federation let this get the way it did, but who knows? Who knows? They stopped. They didn't want Federation assistance, so.
Well, I don't think you'd call them a Federation world. That's the thing. They were an Earth colony that may have been part of the Federation once, but they haven't been for at least 30 years. I mean, otherwise the government would have asked Federation help. They didn't. So I doubt. I bet you they were just people want to leave the Federation. Obviously, this space of the Federation is broad. They found a planet they colonized. They said, "Now we don't want your help." So I don't think they're a member world. I never got that sense. It's just human colony in the Federation realm of influence. Leave us alone, you know?
Yeah. All right, so here's the scene with Data and her talking about Yar and how she was killed, and in the line of duty, and it's no, she was just killed to prove a point, to prove how strong this thing was.
Yep.
And she's like, I don't want to die like that.
I love the bluntness. It's very apt, and I like her reaction as well. It's not what you expect, so it's a good little. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then next scene, we're down on the planet.
Yeah, plan is going ahead.
They energize. Well, they have the away team in first, and then they beam her down, which sets off the alarms. So.
And do you like how much of the actors in like the same corridor where there's a moment later on where it was like, and the amount of times they do this, and you walk with them, and it's a blank wall. So they're looking at a blank wall, at a blank wall, at a blank wall, and then down the one corridor. Like they're really trying, but it's like, dude, you've only got so much set. Like the way they're all like Worf as well at the moment. He's like jumps in like, there's nothing there. You can see very quickly nothing's there. Calm down. It just makes me laugh because it's good, but they use it to its most. The set.
Anyway, they find the escape pod, and Data keeps or Data. The Forge is like, the power supply is damaged. It's going to take me about 10 minutes to fix this.
That's a long time.
It is a long
Such
time.
a long time.
So yeah, then Riker tells them all to stay there. Once it's done, get back up to the ship. He's going after, what's her name?
That's
because ironically,
that's because she walked into a room with a dampening field, basically, not an intentional
I was just going to say that. Yeah, ironically, there's a transformer substation directly above her, so he can't get a lock. So he's got to go in and save her.
But it wasn't intentional. It's not as if she meant to do that, and it's not as it's a genuine situation that he's saving her in that led to their genuine trust. That's why it kind of plays a certain way. If it was all fake, like they put a dampening field to capture her, okay, I'll go rescue her. It was the other team the whole time. No, it's a real, just bad luck situation. Yeah.
Jarziev, $5. Back in Arena, they did have a grenade launcher that was powerful enough for 1,200 yards and to be considered a little close. So there's precedent. Yeah, and I think those were photonic. I'd have to look up on some of the literature on that, but yeah, those were photonic something.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. And people mentioning that this might be sort of part of how the Marquis and such started, these sorts of colonies
Wouldn't be
went
surprised.
a bit more screwy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, he ends up beaming back with her,
Well,
and
she gets caught. I mean, she gets attacked, and it's funny.
she gets shot.
And they use laser staffs, like they're sticks with beams on the end. They're phaser sticks. What a weird choice. So it's okay, cool. And we get a scene that I not intentionally mimicked, but it's the only time I remember seeing she phases and then her fingers on the trigger actually falls, so she just phases the ceiling and sparks fly.
Yeah.
Like, was that ever done before?
I don't know, but that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
It adds a realism to it, like, oh, yeah.
Very lightsaber feeling as well. So, I was a little bit contrived that he finds her so quick, but the 10-minute thing is very like, well, how much time is time? Yeah, beams back with a A-OK. A lot of phaser blasts in this episode.
And then we get him getting chewed out by Picard, essentially.
Yeah.
Find out she has a couple cracked ribs, but she'll be okay. And the DNA comparison's in. It is Tasha's sister. But you went out on a limb there, Riker, which you probably shouldn't have done.
Yep.
But
Let your
still
emotions,
good job.
Let your emotions run. Yeah.
Yeah. But good job anyway.
And that's
so you get the discipline, and then you get the. Actually, it's what's called a compliment sandwich. When you're a boss, you have to do a compliment sandwich. Bring somebody into your office, good, give them shit, and then say something good to end.
You're fired. No, wait. I like your hair. You're fired. Great shoes. Oh.
Yes.
Great shoes. I see you. Walk out my door. Thanks. And the acting here is nice. It's very solemn. And I don't know what happened, but Patrick Stewart, they were accenting his wrinkles more because he looked like a lot of shadow, so he looked unhappy the entire scene and like older. I don't know why. I know he's trying to be. A bit cross, but it was an odd little like. Oh, okay. You can light them to look 5 years older just with lighting. Like he just looks tired and older. It's weird. Don't know why. But yes, then the easy to uncrack ribs.
Yes. You won't be in any pain. The muscle attachments might be a little weak for a few days, but you'll be fine. Picard thanks her for what she did for them. And she kind of disses on Tasha a bit, saying that she ran away.
Yeah, she's like, well, of course I'd help your crew, unlike some people. And he's like, no.
Yeah, let me tell you about your sister.
Yeah. But the way it's played, it's like, okay, he can complain or she can complain at her sister, fine. But she ran away or left when she was like 12. Lots of people had to be scared at 12 or something. I mean, she was only in her 20s.
I think she was older than that.
Maybe 17. But
yeah, something like that.
But I mean, you're allowed to be scared. And then, when she was an adult for years and years, she was brave. Yeah. Because she was not a kid, maybe, but, a younger person. Although I like the story about how he says, which we didn't know until this point, that he was responding to a distress signal at a colony, and Tasha on her ship was. And then he watches her through a minefield, and that's her first meeting, and then she's so impressed with her that he basically pinches her off the other guy's ship.
Because he owed him a favor.
Yeah.
I want your crewman.
Which is weird, because his ship before the Enterprise was the Stargazer. He had no ship in between. So, but it wasn't the Stargazer, because the Stargazer was blown up quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was confused by that, because what ship?
Well, he wasn't captain of it, I don't think.
But he was already captain of the Stargazer, though.
He could have been a captain in between the Stargazer and the Enterprise. Who knows? Maybe he was just on another ship that responded to a distress call. He was being transported somewhere. Who knows? Because the timing doesn't work out if it is him as captain of anything.
Because there was no ship in between. That's the whole point. He went from... Yeah. Like, he had a pause and then took the other one. Let me read about this, because I want
to... Matt Deckard. She liked the miniskirt uniforms when she joined. They changed it, and she was very down after that. Okay. Some more clarification on that would be good. Gotta say, I like her outfit.
I knew you would. Wait, which outfit? Her lack of clothing or her blue clothing?
The one she beamed in the ship on. She's clearly not wearing a bra.
Well, there aren't bras in space, as we know.
Well, yeah, George Lucas said so. There are no bras in space. And then she goes into the skin tight one in a second, so it's also great.
And it looks like Stargaze was destroyed in 2355. This was in 2367. So 12 years ago, and should have 15 years ago. So if Tasha had got into Starfleet and graduated in 3 years, then he would have seen her the last year of the Stargazer. But that doesn't make sense, so it would have been after.
Yeah, more clarification is needed on that, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, Picard's next command finally responded to a distress call from colonists. What Picard did for the 9 years between Stargate and Enterprise is unknown, has never been discussed. The amount of time would have been sufficient for him to command another ship, but Picard's never mentioned another ship commanding besides Stargate and Enterprise, which you would think would be a massively important thing to talk about. Because he clearly didn't give a shit about the ship then, because he never mentioned it once. But I guess you don't mention sisters or daughters in important situations, as we've seen in both, Discovery and Picard. I'm not going to mention lol. Nah, let's not mention lol.
Yeah. Anyway, she's on the bridge helping out Data. And she points out some entry points and whatever. And then she asks where Tasha's station was. That's where Worf's standing now. I love how Worf's always giving her like the side eye, like.
Well, yeah,
I got your sister killed, even though he didn't really.
No, I got it more as he's the last one to trust her, which is why right before she betrays them, he makes a point of saying, "You'd be good for Starfleet." I think that's more the implication. Like, she won even the hardest to convince over by the end. But yeah, it's a lot of Tasha dialogue. This is a very dense episode of like the canon stuff. And that's really what it's filled with,
And then we find out that, or she finds out that Data was one of Tasha's friends. Are you allowed to have friends? Or can you have friends?
Yeah.
And yes, my sensory input patterns become accustomed to people being around. So, and then they're missed when absent.
Which I didn't realize was exact, because I thought Isaac did it better, his whole feeling thing, but they just explained what Isaac said in his episode in Orville, like exactly the same logic. Oh, TNG did design it first 30 years earlier. I thought they invented that cleverly, but oops, darn it, Data got there first. Makes sense. But I like that he doesn't go into the intimate relationship bit. Like, it makes sense. It's yeah. But again, too much emoting from Brent.
Yeah.
Too much. And he talks so softly with her. I was friends with your sister. It's like, Brent, you talk like this. You talk like this. Why are you talking like this, Brent? Almost every scene, Stuart. It's really weird.
Brian Strait, $5. The blue one piece, one of TNG's more memorable outfits. Have to agree. So next scene, they find out where the guys are located, but it's too far underground to transport. But they because they got there's solid granite above them, so they decide they can cut through that with the phasers, get close enough to beam in, and then she mentions about her proximity device. If only it could be removed, and they're like,
if only it could be removed. Oh, that's that would be a thing, wouldn't it? I mean, it can't be though. No science could achieve that.
Didn't come off like that though, honestly. It didn't though. I was looking for that. I was looking for that kind of, and the way she plays it is very much like, it'll explode if it comes in contact with oxygen. And of course, Data is the one that jumps on it, saying, "Yeah, we could, put a force field around it with xenon or another gas, and then disarm it, essentially." But it didn't come off like, "Oh, woe is me! If only this proximity device could be removed." It didn't come off like that. It was just a nice mention, and then everybody else played on it and solved the problem for her. And then Riker even says it's your decision in the end to whether you want to do that or not and take the risk.
I still think there was. She suggested she brought them in the line of thinking, like that's her plan. That's a plan she has, but she's using poker to make it think it's their plan. So I still think every word she says is intentional, because as always, it's better if you suggest it. And if she had said, well, we could remove it with advanced technology, but if Data's idea, then it's very good playing them, because this is obviously intentional, but it's well played. Well played. And yeah, Riker's obviously warmed to her enough, because the way he says it's your decision to not explode. It's like, well, of course she's going to take it. Like, what's the benefit to having this still inside you? There's no benefit. Like, it is not. I don't know why there'd be a choice. It's like, I guess, yes, you could die, but the chances of you dying are minimal. Yeah.
But 10 forward. Find out about their parents being killed, and one day they were just gone, and then they basically got taken care of, and Tasha decided to leave. She decided to join the cadre, or the gang, if you will, and Tasha refused to join, so she left. So,
but this is the very long take, because she follows her face, goes all the way around, past that. Like, it's a very long take. It's a really and it's so intimate. This would be a hard one to do. Like, she's not breaking down, but considering everything in this scene, and this is the scene. This is the moment where we as the audience meant to think she's changed. Like, we can see the Tasha in her, and so this to be it as a close up. This is a hell of a thing for an actress to do. I'd love to know how many takes this took. This is hard, and she handles it very, very well, because she's not giving too much away. She's underplaying it, and that's really good. So yeah, pretty impressive. Like, it's not the best script, but she is giving everything she can to this performance, as it's being required of her. And she ends it with, yeah, if I'd known about this place, maybe my life would have been, maybe my life could still be different, Data. I wonder.
I even consider you a friend.
Do you consider me a friend?
Data's
Are we close?
Data's like, I would like to consider you my friend as well.
I've never trusted anyone this quickly. I've never met anyone so handsome. I've never met anyone with such good dress sense. We know that's what she's doing, but it's so well played. But yeah, again, Data the puppy, he's just eating it up. And again, that's the point, but it's like, and then he walks in, the next scene's like, she wants to join Starfleet, and they're like, really? Really? And Troy's obviously like,
and apply to the academy. Apply to the academy, and, first of all, leave the colony, and then apply to the academy, yeah.
And then join Starfleet, because all those things involve, she's got determination, because you can also, start and never finish, like B'Elanna. Yeah.
And I love how Troy's kind of like, yeah, Data, you seem so strong in your support. I'm curious. Yeah, I love that she calls him out on it. But he actually says, I've become used to her, so.
Yeah. But we have no reason not to trust her yet, so it's kind of everyone's doing their job in this episode. And guys, do click like. It's actually important to the algorithms. We've got 90 watching, 92 likes, but we know people come in and out, so do click like. I want to see 100 likes. 100 likes. And some more super chats, guys. Bit light tonight, but that's okay. We're here either way. So thoughts, comments, questions, and the like is the free one. So 92, I want to see the 100. Do you want to see the 100, Stuart? Like, how much do you need to see it? Just viscerally need.
I need to see it. That's how much.
I mean, you can tell from that. I mean, he is here. He is there. He is everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he goes to talk to her about it, and she's like, I've never had people that cared about me, without wanting something in return. Data's like, well, I do want something in return. I want you to stick around.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker.
And then he's like, well, but you know what, Data? I really need to tell my family,
I
should tell them I owe it to them. Oh, well, if you want to use the observation room, more privacy. Yeah, that's a good idea. Be more be easier for them to take my leaving them if I tell them in private. But then
But I'll give you a kiss first.
Oh yeah, just to reseal that deal. But then it's like you do know that be monitored. Like there's private overhearing, but it's being monitored, it's being recorded. Like if anyone bothered to watch her signal, that unauthorized signal.
That's why there's nothing in the conversation report. It's working. That's it. That's all they said. That can be incorporated many different ways.
Yeah.
Or interpreted in different ways.
I suppose. I kind of assume there was a long conversation where he said, "But how is your ploy doing? Ah, they're falling for it." But I guess, yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah. And the way she acts is sad. It's just like all this tenderness that she's been showing the entire cast, and then she goes back down to being this, you know, there's a few close-ups. I think she looks a lot like Sarah Connor from Terminator 1, which has longer hair.
Oh yeah, definitely does.
So I got a lot of those vibes in this scene. She's just like, we're actioning, you know, we're soldiers in this war, sort of thing.
And people are saying she's 17 at this point. Tasha left 15 years ago. She was 2. I don't know if I buy that.
I don't buy that.
I think she's older than that for sure. Anywho, we got the implant out. Everything's fine. And then you might want to keep this. You've had it with you for a while. And she's like, "Nah, Data, you keep it, so you don't forget me." He's like, have you reconsidered your decision to stay with us? And she's like, "No, just in case something happens to me on the mission."
Like, even that is honest. Like, he's even like, "Wait, what?" And that's a real reason. We might get injured. Again, every step of the way, it's plausible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Although, it left me wondering, it's a little thing, right? A little chip thing, which looks like a, you know, just a piece of plastic. How is that also a bomb? Like, it's meant to bomb in when connected to air. First of all, it's connected to air right now. It's not bombing, but also
they said they disarmed it.
Yeah, but I was
and that's not all of it. I think there was another part. That's the part that glows because it glows orange or yellow through her chest. Mm-hmm. The other ones are green. So I think that's the emitter that would light up, whereas the part that was behind it, maybe that they diffused and removed, was the bomb part. Would be my guess.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool futuristic tech.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the future, you know.
Yeah. Then she has a conversation with Worf about joining Starfleet. Yeah, if I'm lucky, one day I will.
Yeah, Tasha left when she was 12, as they said. So we'll kind of been...
Really? When she was 12? Because there was a flashback to her on that planet. She did not look 12.
Yeah. Because they didn't hire a different actress, did they? Hard to make a 20-something-year-old look 12, but yeah. So I doubt they were 10 years younger than each other to be 2. I think they were... No, yeah. Died at 27.
Who died at 27? Tasha?
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, then you get the Worf moment where he basically says, "Yes, I believe in you now." And that's the full circle of... Because she's now wearing almost a uniform. And even Picard mentioned one of the things like, she's somehow become one of our crew, basically. It's really weird. Like, they're all so in on this. What I find funniest thing about this uniform is that it's literally got a matching holster. Color-coded. Cool. It is cool, but it's just like, this must be some sort of standard issue for, like, some sort of mission profile. Because why the hell... I mean, I know you could make them. But it's a holster. Like, just a black holster would be fine. It's a color-coded, perfect holster. It's weird.
Goddamn. Tenchi 2K7, $5. The bomb wouldn't have to be very big to make an unrepairable hole in your chest.
That's fair.
That's very fair.
That is fair. I mean, I was just, I was picturing something more dramatic, yeah. And that's okay.
So they decide they need to slice down through the granite with the phasers. And a line of dialogue a little while ago, Geordi's like, "Yeah, I'll retune the phasers for drilling." Okay, whatever. But they need to go down 1.6 kilometers because it's like 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers worth of granite. I can't remember now. But we get the phasers going in. You see all the dirt falling in, and then they eventually get to the 1.6 kilometer mark and deep enough for transport. So they energize. I like that. I think that's really cool. I don't know how on the planet they wouldn't have detected that necessarily. Well, they're underground, I guess, but I don't know.
I was more thinking, would no one hear?
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be loud as all hell. I was confused by the fact that it wasn't loud as all hell. Like, even a kilometer underground, I'm sure you could hear a big, dramatic, but that's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I like when they beam down and they start moving around, and Worf's like, "Caution is indicated," and she's like, "No, we're near the heart of the Alliance. They never suspect anybody to get this far in. Security is minimal here."
Makes sense.
So yeah, it's great. And then they find the door that the guys are behind, and Riker takes out a guy. He flies back. It's really quite cool. That's pretty powerful stun setting, I think.
Yeah, I love.
It must have been the stun and injure setting.
Oh, it's the sonic boom setting. Yeah. The stuntmen are clearly stuntmen in this episode, but they're getting their money's worth. But this scene is the one where they're all like super darting and looking at corridors, and it's just like you're looking at empty walls. And it is. I mean, if you also trace their walking on the set, you can see they're taking like right corners. Like it's the same. For what it is, it's well done. But you can trace their path by the end. But it is good. It is well lit. It works. But I like when, like I said, Worf's like, be cautious. It's like, she is. You're all doing the exact same thing. You're all walking slowly forwards. What more cautious can she be? Worf, what are you talking about? Which I just found funny because it's a non-line dialogue that you didn't need to have. Yeah, find the guys. Not really any guards on the guys. That I would have had guards. I was a guy sort of, but I would have had guards at least. And then he phases their lock off. They don't really do that often, but hey, sure. He's that good with a phaser.
Yeah, I thought there'd be more of a thing releasing, but it just cuts away.
Yeah.
Which is kind of stupid. But...
And then you get, again, she's going to betray you, us, the audience, second watch. But you get this bit where she's kind of dodging people. And you're like, okay, this makes sense. And then she goes one way, sees a guy, phases him. Makes sense, fine. There's nothing weird here. Someone's going to be there. And yet when Riker sees him, he's like, what went on here? It's like, well, some guy came around the corner.
Yeah.
Nothing went on here. It's the plan. I mean, what do you drawing a fire? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's weird. It's like they want to make us think she's dangerous, ready for the reveal, even though nothing she's done at this point is, you know what I mean? Like the way they're shooting her is odd. And it's definitely odd to see the fact that the guy being phasered isn't. And does that mean that, because she has a phaser on kill later, why wouldn't she have it on kill now? Just kill people that she hates, like this is the moment you have a phaser on kill because she doesn't care if the people are going to die.
I wonder if she changed it to get the panel off, maybe, because she does shoot the panel off, but possibly. I don't know. That's a good question. It's
just weird. It's just like stun is an inconsistent tool, but it's just weird to see fall downstairs. I'm fine, don't worry. Oh, I'm dead. You didn't need that. Like, all it could have happened was like he touches emitter or something. Could have a more elegant solution than he's fine and then not. But yes, the alarms go off. Everyone's concerned. They find no Ashara. silly dialogue ensues. But then, she has a beeline straight for the power generator. It's like, I guess, right around the corner. Cool. And it's actually not a bad little prop. I quite like the big glow.
No, it looks good. It looks good.
And then it's a little keyboard, literally like a typewriter keyboard that she takes the thing off and she to make it override. It's a funny little prop situation, but it's good. It works.
But Data finds her.
Yes.
And notices that the fusion generator is overloading. Yes. And what's the reason you want to do this? And she's like, I don't care about your crewmen. We have 3,000 troops waiting at the perimeter. Yeah. Once this thing goes down, we're storming this. And it's like, damn. So the Alliance will fall. And Data's like, well, the Federation's going to be held responsible for all the deaths, and I can't have that.
Yep.
She says, I don't want to kill you, Data, but I will. And it seems like here she kind of gets a little bit conflicted, just a little bit. But
yeah, it's an interesting scene. The way, because first of all, Riker and Data deliberately split up because they had to make that a moment. But the way Data's acting, he's so like he walks in, he's like so oblivious to what she's doing. He obviously thinks she's not doing anything. He's waiting for the logical explanation, right? Like he's acting like in shock. It's an interesting performance. He's obviously blinded, and you can really feel it in the moments. And yeah, her dime, she swaps on that dime, and she's just dramatic. But the shift, like you said, between, like, you know, you're going to blow up, well, he even says, be destroyed with it. You know, destroyed, not killed, because he's an android, does a nice touch. But she does shift quite quickly from why to you should get out of here. She's trying to save him because she does like him.
Yeah, she says, I don't mind dying for this, but you don't have to. Get out of here.
And you can hear it in her tone, like, no, just leave! Like, it's so visceral. Like, I don't want you, you're a nice guy, don't die. But then it escalates that one step, you know? One step.
Yeah, and then it comes down to your friendship with me was all part of the deception, was it not?
Oh, it's hard to watch.
Yeah. That doesn't matter now. None of it does. Get out of here, Data, please. And she gets very desperate at this point.
Yep. Well, this is theoretically this literally would be a change to this entire society. Like, this is an all or nothing. I mean, her life is worth it to probably end this war on this planet. Like, this is it.
And she could have shot him, but she deliberately misses when he decides to intercede.
Do you think? Because I got the sense he dodged, given the fact that he dodged.
He did dodge, but I don't know. I think why would you aim for his head level when you could have just gone for the chest, which is a bigger target? I don't know. I think it's hard to miss with a phaser, first of all.
Well, because the implication he's moving forward, so because she shoots at the wall, but if he's moving forward, that's where he would, because you should aim where they're going to be, not where they are, because that's called motion. And they dodges because
leading the target.
Yeah, thank you. Good wording. But because he dodges instantly, it's hard to see that she was aiming for him. But the fact that it was on kill, the fact that she, like, it's a hard scene to play.
Yeah.
I don't know. But also, it could just been like a gut. Like, she didn't even think, she just did. You know, as well. Like, she saw him move and she reacted, just did it without really wanting to.
I've always thought she didn't want to hit him, obviously. So, you know, that figured into that. So.
Just she has everything to lose, you know.
Yeah. She gets shot, and I love how Data like spins his phaser. Did you notice that?
Oh, put in the holster.
Yeah, he like flips it and then puts it in the holster.
It's such like, I've got a bigger dick than anyone else in this cast. Look at what I can do. Look at the move I can play here, guys. Funny.
And then he disables the overload.
Instantly.
And we find out the phaser is set to kill.
Which also raises another question. She does shoot at Riker, and if Riker hadn't have dodged, like, she does shoot a kill blast at Riker as well. Like, why is she's not going to try and miss that, is she? And that was a reaction, so I really don't think, I think she was trying to kill them both. I think, although she wouldn't be, if it wasn't on kill, you know? But it was on kill, that is a commitment. Every shot is a commitment to that point, you know?
Yeah, I guess. We're back in the Enterprise, and she gets told where to go by Worf.
They ain't friends no more.
We're in the principal's office.
Yeah, it does feel like that as well.
Yeah. And the guy on the screen's like, hey, you know, it was a calculated risk. We tried. Like, can you give us shit for that? I mean, it's an opportunity we couldn't ignore.
I mean, it's such a fun vibe. Like, I mean, can you blame us? Yeah. And
then it changed to, I want her returned immediately. And Riker is like, you're in no position to dictate to anybody.
And he's full on. Like, he's acting. He's like, basically, no. Oh, because the other guy's like, well, you haven't got jurisdiction. And he's like, and Riker's like, neither do you. You force it with fear. You have nothing to say. Oh yeah, you're the legitimate government. Piss off. Don't owe you shit.
And then Picard just holds up his hand, shuts everybody up.
Yep.
And he tells Data to escort her to the transporter room.
And his acting there is great. It's both cold, but also you can feel the deep, like, I hate today. I don't blame anybody here. Because I made the choices and they made sense at the time, but I just hate what happened today. It's a well-acted little moment of
And I
Patrick.
love the guy on the screen. You know, you hear him in the background. I'm just trying to maintain or to preserve the peace, and he gets cut off.
Oh, I love it. Yep.
Yeah. And then Riker's like, "You're far more cherishable than I would have been, Captain." And then you get the whole like, yeah, we basically, it's everybody's fault. We lied to ourselves.
Yep.
We were eager to accept her, and
we saw so much Tasha
we
that wasn't there.
We wanted to see Tasha in this woman, yeah.
And it's amazing because it's you can just feel he is disappointed in everything. Like, he's not angry, he's not sad, he's disappointed, you know? You know, just like a poker game where they bet, you know, someone's life, or they bet the car, and you're like, well, I played everything I had and I lost. I can't be mad, it was a legal game, but I'm just disappointed. It's a good way that way.
Then we get the nice, "You haven't said a word to me. Are you mad at me, Data?" And he's like, "Well, what do you want to talk about?" It's kind of like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Like, "Dad, we never talk." "Well, I'm here now. What would you like to talk about?" And Indy's like, "I can't think of anything." "Well, what are you complaining about?"
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And did you notice the small detail of the two crewmen in the in the hallway? He actually like grabs onto her as if like they should move to the side slightly, because now they've heard how not nice she is. Real subtle, but it's like an unnecessary detail. Just like, yep, let's stay away from her. Sorry, transport room.
"Yeah, I did what I had to do. Sorry I hurt you in the process." He's like, "I'm an android. I can't be injured in that fashion." And then she says, "You know, I wasn't lying to you. The time we spent talking was the closest I've ever had to friendship. If that means anything to you, energize."
Yeah.
Like, cold.
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Nation, $3. Showing my support for Trekyards and all they do. Live long and prosper.
Speaking of, check out me on Sci-Fi Nation in the past on last Monday, and in the future on Friday. At this same Trekyards time, but not on the Trekyards channel. There was Trekyards on Monday.
Sci-Fi Nation.
And it'll be Temporal Anomaly and Fan Films on Friday, which I'm excited for. But Manipulous Look says, anyone ever see Patrick Stewart in I, Claudius? I, Claudius is a famous English drama. It's the definitive Roman character-based drama. It's basically a play, because they have, it was made in the 80s, so limited budget, limited whatever, but it's very, very high-end actors for the time that then became massive, as at least, in their own fields, and it's very, very good for what it is. But think of it more of as a Shakespearean Romanic drama, but he's very good in that. That was kind of his first big role as a terms of a character. Like, he was a big part of that. Yes. Now, what do you think about Data plays this scene? Because we've heard his "I don't feel emotion" a few times now as like a fallback.
He's hurting. You can tell. There's too much emotion here. Even when he says energize, it's not a cold energize. Yep. It's energize. It just doesn't come off as he wanted to hurt her back a little bit, I think. That's what it came across as, anyway.
It's weird to keep hearing Brent say Data has no emotion, given that, again, when you see him have emotion in the entire episode and he says there's no emotion, it feels like he's lying to himself, but that's also an emotion that he's not, like, it's a weird thing to be doing. He doesn't, he's self-decepting, but it's a bit odd. And then, yeah, the moment where she basically says to him, yeah, you were probably my closest friend in a sense, and then he just says energized without saying anything else. But the half-second pause as his lips start to form something else, and she's waiting for him to say it's okay, or I forgive you, or fuck off. Any of the most all-powerful statements, and yes, swearing to be powerful, and it's energized, saying, you will never get closure, Miss Yar. You'll never get closure. And her face is like she is legit hurt by that, like not getting closure, and It's really a powerful little moment, and it's surprising how powerful it is considering what just happened. Yeah.
Well, when I saw this time around, I anticipated that they might have had ideas to bring her back at some point.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah.
But missed opportunity, I guess.
Because she was strong in this. She legitimately, brought this episode to life. That unfortunately, Denise Crosby didn't do a lot of episodes. which is given a lot of dialogue that does help you make a character, but it's just like, wow, you know.
Yeah. And that's the end. Almost. See, that was one of those fake endings where it's like,
Yeah.
you see the Enterprise from the outside, and you're like, is it done?
Yeah.
Nope. We get the nice little conversation with him and Riker. He's like, recent events have puzzled me. My thoughts still dwell on her, even though it's been a few days. Almost like I'm experiencing a feedback loop in my pneumatic network. And Riker goes on to correct him and say, you weren't deceived. We were. We all wanted to trust her, and in trust, there's always the possibility of betrayal. I'm just not sure you were prepared for that.
Yeah, this felt to me like the whole Tasha Wesley drugs are bad. Like, but it's also much, much better. Like, it actually makes you
way
think.
Better.
It's a real message, and it's very poignant for all time.
So without trust, there's no friendship, no closeness,
Yeah.
none of the emotional bonds that make us who we are. And Data's like, well, you put yourself at risk every time then. He's like, every single time.
Yeah.
And perhaps I'm fortunate, sir, that I'm spared the emotional consequences. And Riker's like, well, perhaps.
Yeah, I like how when Riker hears that, he closes off for a second. He's like, oh, He's almost going to say, yeah, but you do feel, don't you? But then he's like, And so he goes with that. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's one of those things where, yes, you are lucky that you don't get hurt by somebody betraying you, but at the same time, you never are going to experience the closeness with somebody because you can't experience those emotions. So it's kind of a catch-22. Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah, it's also not a good thing.
But I mean, like I said, we can tell she has, emotion, etc., etc.
And then he goes out in the hallway and looks at the little chip and kind of stares off.
Clearly emoting. Although that made me a little bit laugh because having got TNG uniforms, they have no pockets, which means he had to be holding that in his hand the entire time. Because there are no pockets. Like, he's literally just holding it. If he wants to bring it, he's holding it. Yeah. And what a close one Data's makeup, Jesus.
Yeah, even his eyelashes are like painted, which you never really can think about, but
yeah, you can see the wrinkles of his eyes that you really associate with more like the Nemesis version, but then it just sort of ends, and it's legitimately makes you think sad ending. I think they achieved to make you feel for a character they just introduced,
Yeah, the episode as a whole is so easily forgotten. Nothing happens really.
Well, one thing happens strongly. I mean, it's a singular plot and it happens successfully. I don't know what, It's a fully committed A plot with a good side character and some good data moments. I mean,
All right, well, guys, put in your super chats for your scores. I'll read those out when we're done here. And if you don't want to super chat or can't, by all means, put the score in the regular chat, and then Samuel will read those out. Samuel, do you want to go first for this one?
Yeah, sure. I've got my other thing. Yeah, this one I think it was never one that I'm overly fond of for whatever reason in my memory. But again, this rewatch is more about listening to the dialogue, to appreciating the HD-ness, the costume set design. It's a different sort of watch and just enjoyment factor. It's seeing what's there. And there's definitely more there than I thought. It's layered. It's a synopsis that's a single line, Tasha's sister helps them free some prisoners and then betrays them. That's it. That's the summary. But every scene has something new to add. The poker analogy is really well done in this one. The acting is on point because you don't see it coming unless you're really thinking about it. Brent's overacting, but that's part of it. It's hard to feel the harsh notes of Data's performance if you don't see him be positive. If he's blank the whole time, there is no payoff. So it's kind of a, you've got to have both to have. And like I said, I thought the creation of the sets was actually very, very good. Again, consider season 1 with Sung's lab, the outside bit, like a tunnel with some lights, and then look at really, really good. This season has been sets. Let's talk about sets, baby. We'll talk about sets. And they really are getting good at sets. Well done them. So it's definitely better than I thought. It's like I said, it's a sequel to Tasha, And it makes you sad that Denise didn't get as good as stuff, because she does better than Denise did in pretty much her entire run in one episode. You know, it's weird that way. But it doesn't really end with it much. But it's definitely an interesting watch, and it's good as a second watch to see once you know what's going to go on. But scores are hard. I'm not sure what my gut says about this one. It's definitely a... It's a medium in every field, but it's got some good little bits. This season, again, it's so hard to judge. There hasn't been like anything the best yet, so it's probably the one of the weak ones of this season. But that's not necessarily it's probably better than Call of Season 7. So I don't know. So for this season, I'd probably say. Let's see which was Suddenly Human, because I've got that score, but which was Suddenly Human? I don't even remember all of a sudden.
Don't remember all of a Suddenly Human.
Suddenly Human was the sun and.
Yes.
I don't know if I liked it better than that. I'll say the same then, but for different ways. So 6.5 for this season, and I think I'll give it an average of 6 for all of TNG. It's better than average, which is better than average for sure. Yeah, I think that's fair. So 6.5 and then 6.
Well, I mean, the main thing I get from this one is some eye candy, which, whatever. The 80s here kind of dates this one like a lot, but I love how you said Sarah Connor, because yeah, she definitely does have that look to her and that kind of attitude as well a little bit. This one for me is just not good. It's just not a good episode. Very meh. Like I said, I remember that she comes on board and she betrays them. That's about it. There's nothing else to it, unfortunately. The data thing doesn't go anywhere after this. Like, it's never brought up again, I don't think. Might be mentioned maybe once, but there's just not a lot here as far as character moments and stuff for me personally. I never really realized that Data wasn't quite acting like Data in this episode until you kind of pointed it out. I need to go back and rewatch it again now to see from your point of view how that looked, but that'll be interesting. But other than that, there's just nothing here. So I mean, for season 4, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. For all of TNG, it's definitely going to get like a 4 for me. It's just not the worst thing ever. Like I said, there are 1 or 2 small things that are good about it, but overall, it's just ultimately forgettable.
I thought you were going to bomb it. I thought you were going to...
This one I think shows its age and doesn't age well.
So what about it ages? Because the costumes are good, the sets are good, the acting's good. What age is it?
Her hair.
Well, if you're not born in the 80s, I mean, to me, it just looks like a weird alien hairstyle. Like I've always thought, oh, she looks good in it. Like it doesn't have any resonance to the 80s to me, so I think it just kind of stands out as, oh, that's kind of cool.
Those sets I wasn't a fan of, to be honest. The underground sets, they look like a lot of stuff from this time period as far as shows went. So I don't know. It feels dated to me. It doesn't stand the test of time. I don't know how else to describe it. Just the whole ambiance of the episode.
Well, it's definitely something that only someone of that era would see. Like if someone born after that would have no connection to it. So that's like a
Yeah.
That's like why TOS will both date and not date, because the references will both be lost, but also the harsh drama of the whatever will be lost as well. So you can enjoy it just for what it is, rather than whatever. But I thought you were gonna bomb it. I thought you were gonna give it like a 2 and a 2. So I'm kind of happy you didn't.
No, it's not that bad.
Because it's not a bad episode in any way. Like, there's nothing bad about it at all. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't fail in any respect.
Did I at any point during this review say I hate this episode?
That's what I mean.
Because there are a few like that.
That's what I mean.
The whole thing was just kind of it's not memorable. I don't know.
Even though you remembered the entire story.
It's because there's no story.
But you still remember the entire story, so it is memorable. You knew the exact story.
This could have been literally like a 5-minute short.
Well, 10 minutes short at least. 10 minutes. But the thing is, it's a character piece. It's all these nice moments of people in Data, and it's the Tasha sequel that we didn't ask for, sort of, and we sort of got, and it's just, yeah. But what do the Super Chat scores say? This is your time, do Super Chat score. Stuart will read them, and I'll read the non-Super Chat scores. You are as important, but Stuart's voice is too important for non-Super Chats, you know.
Yes, I'll read some of the Super Chats we did get. Fleetpaw Swiftback puts in $2, 102 likes. Amazeballs. Jarzia, $2. Data has all sorts of panels to hide things in. Funny. Fleetpaw Swiftback, $2. 5 out of 10 for season 4. 5 out of 10 for TNG. Middle of the road episode. Good, but meh. That's a good summary. I like that. Ozzy Maderos, $5. The episode gets a 7 out of 10 and brought to you by Data Fertilizers. Trekyards, a 10 out of 10. Well done, Superior Commander and Sci-Fi Nation on Sci-Fi Nation Skeleton Hands. And Jarzia, $5. A 6 for TNG, 5.5 for season 4. There's some quality here, but this should have been done while Tasha was still around, in my opinion. Feels like a season 1 or 2 afterthought. Yeah. That thing you can't find puts in $5. 7 out of 10. The big problem was you see her portrayal coming before they show it.
I don't think you do, but that depends if you're thinking about it. That's the problem with people. If they're looking for the reveal, they're like, I saw it coming. Well, then...
Well, when she says it's working to the guy, it's like, what the hell?
Yes, but that was right near the end. I mean, that was the whole point. That was like, and if you say you saw it coming then, it's because they told you it was coming. You can't say saw it coming if they tell you. But before that, I think it's well hidden. But do you think... Oh, sorry.
Redneck Checker says, kind of surprised, Cap. Quick to the point episode. I know you liked it back when it first aired, surely. No, I didn't. I didn't even find her attractive back when it first aired, to be honest with you. I liked the suit that she was wearing, the blue suit, but no. I found her way more attractive on this watch through, to be honest. Maybe I was just looking for something that I would make me like the episode. I don't know. Sorry.
Hey,
sorry, continue.
At least it has less plot holes in Best of Both Worlds Part 1, which is filled with them. Definitely more consistent than that one.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, let's see what the everyone else says. So guys, put your scores in now. / 5 minutes ago. Let's see. 4 out of 10 for season 4. 8 out of 10. 5.5. 5. 4. 6.5. 5. 6.5. 6.5. 8. 5. 5. 4.5. 6.5. 7. 5.5. 5.0. So yeah, I think, but literally between our two, very much. No one thinks it's amazing, but you either like it a bit more or like it a bit less. Yeah. But it's definitely not bad. But do you think it would have been a better season 1 episode if somehow that could have been made, like during Tasha's run, or even just after her death, etc.?
Just after, maybe, would have been, yeah, I think more impactful. But I mean, a lot of people have started tuning in to watch TNG in season 3 or 4 that didn't watch the first few seasons. I know that. So, yeah, I think it would have been more impactful, like closer to after her death.
I think if this had been a season 1 episode, though, like verbatim, this would have been one of the top like 4 or 5, because it's a well-made piece of TV in comparison to season 1. It's just not a very sharp piece of TV compared to season 4. You know?
Like I said, it just feels like a product of its time. The sets, the wardrobe, the hair, it feels like TV from that era. You know, and that's one of the things that kind of sticks with me with this episode. A lot of TNG doesn't have that. This one, the sets just, I know you like them.
And they look great. And very well lit.
Yeah, but they just seem like anything you'd see in Knight Rider or Airwolf or... It's just a lot of shows that had this kind of look. And I think the baggy pants that she's wearing, very 80s. Just things like that just kind of take me out of it, unfortunately. But that's me.
Fair enough. Cool. So what are we doing tomorrow then, Stuart?
Well, tomorrow we can either do season 2 of Stargate discussion, or we can do another review. So doesn't really matter to me. Friday, of course, you are on Sci-Fi Nation, so we won't be having a live then. But I don't know. What do you guys want to see? Let us know. Stargate Season 2 discussion or review? Robbie says review.
Which doesn't help because they're both reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely... We're not going to do every single season, but I just want to do Season 2 as well because that's, before it gets spoilery, because you're going to burn through 4 and 5 before I can even, say please stop. So I might as well do Season 2 before you go too far. Because Season 2 is when the quality takes up a notch. So I'd like to hear what you think about... Well, especially introduce a lot of the other characters, like the Tok'ra and stuff. Really important stuff that I'd like to hear your thoughts on, so...
I think I'll probably let you down in that regard. It's just like, yeah, I don't remember much of that episode, but it was all right.
Wow.
So we're getting kind of split between review, TNG review, and SG1. So,
What even is TNG?
Oh, the next one is Reunion.
Oh, that's not going to be a fun one to watch.
Let's do before Stuart gets too far ahead. What's it matter if I get too far ahead?
Well, because they reveal stuff. I mean, you can't think about characters once you know where they go the same way. That's part of the fun. That's why the Expanse we should do an actual watch, because if we suddenly watch all the season up until season 4 and start reviewing it, well, the reveals aren't reveals anymore. The spoilers are spoilers. It's just, it ruins the point of the show if you know it all. No redneck, it just went off Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I'm watching it on, we got MGM on, I think it's Prime. So it's a $4 a month subscription to get MGM, and that's got all the Stargates on it. So
what else do you get with that?
Anything MGM's made.
Did you get it just for these reviews, or for this watch, or do you already have it?
Yes. No, we got it just for this.
Cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's on Hulu in the US, says
yes,
Jill.
That's the new home of it. Yeah, it went off Amazon literally like 3 days ago. Or like a week ago.
So we don't know what we're doing tomorrow now, apparently, so...
You will... Well, I know what I want to do, so...
What do you want to do?
Well, Stargate is more interesting. So a lot of good stuff to talk about.
It's very likely going to be Stargate tomorrow, guys. we'll talk about it, and we'll let you know. Just stay tuned for the...
I mean, you guys know when our thumbnails come up normally, so easy peasy. Yeah. So have a great rest of the day. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Tunge review. And yeah, we are how many hours from Lower Decks? Always countable number of hours.
I don't know.
Isn't it a week tomorrow?
A week tomorrow, yeah. Goddamn.
I think Sci-Fi Nation asked me, "Am I ready?" And it's like, can you truly be ready? I don't know. So who was the last Super Chat, Stuart? Who wins that slot for today?
Oh, that thing you can't find by the looks of it.
Cool. Well, we can't find your Super Chat, but thanks for being your last Super Chat.
But he did find it because he found the last Super Chat slot. So good job.
So now the next live should be, I found that last Super Chat. Super Chat's $5. So until tomorrow, guys, he is Captain Foley.
And he's Commander Cockings.
And that is Data like a puppy. Bye, everyone.
Chevron 1, locked.
Yeah.